Welcome to 1991 Movie Rewind, a podcast where we watch and review every movie released in 1991. From the all-time greatest classics to the critically panned and everything in between. We will rediscover forgotten fan favorites and uncover hidden gems as we explore the depths of direct-to-video. Join us in our celebration of the fun, unique, and diverse films of this highly underrated year. This week, we watched V.I. Warshawski.
Hi, this is Nikki.
And this is Jon, and thank you for joining us on 1991 Movie Rewind. V.I. Warshawski is a private investigator who finds herself in the middle of a murder case when her new love interest winds up dead shortly after they meet. V.I., played by Kathleen Turner, was watching his daughter at the time of the incident, but when other members of the daughter's family become suspects, she decides she needs to try to solve the case, with her new teenage sidekick tagging along. Screenplay by Edward Taylor, David Aaron Cohen, and Nick Thiel, directed by Jeff Kanew, and released on July 26, 1991. I'm going to ask it, have you seen V.I. Warshawski before?
Yes, I have.
You have seen him before this? Oh, wow, okay. I was not expecting that answer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You really have seen virtually everything.
I told you when we were going through this list, I was like, seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of especially the ones that were in the top 100, I've pretty much seen them, almost all of them.
Yeah, and this is going to be the last movie in the top 100 that we cover for a little while. We're moving on to 101 through 150 in our next batch of 5. I knew of this movie just from its video box cover from working at the video store.
Okay.
So I saw it in the comedy section of Hollywood Video, and it's like, oh, that seems sort of intriguing, but never intriguing enough to actually pick up and rent and try it out for myself. So.
You kicking yourself that you've never seen it until now?
No, I wouldn't say that. But
I'm just kidding.
I was optimistic about this movie.
Yeah.
I thought, you got Kathleen Turner in her prime, basically. You got an action comedy mix, two things that she should be able to do very well because of her past. And it has all the makings of something that could be good.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
Nope.
Episode over.
Yeah, my favorite part of this entire movie was that it was filmed in Chicago, and I was like, oh, this place, and oh, they're there.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, Navy Pier is supposed to be there, type of thing.
Yeah, the ending was at Navy Pier before it was a tourist attraction.
Yeah.
We looked it up, and evidently not until about 1995 did it become
the
start of what it is now.
Yeah.
This is our first Chicago movie, right? We've had tons of New York ones.
New York or LA.
Yeah. So that was interesting to see how they use the city. I'd say it's probably mostly just for set dressings. They didn't really try to hit you over the head with it. They didn't really try to make the landmarks much of a character aside from using a pier at the end, but that could have been any generic
she lives
dock.
By Wrigley Field.
Yeah, exactly, but that wasn't a plot point.
I know,
at any point.
But it could have been because people came over to her apartment just to look down at the Cubs games.
Right, yeah, so she lives literally across the street from
on
Wrigley
Sheffield
Field.
If people are aware.
Yeah, in a building that may or may not exist, or may exclusively be one of those rooftop, tourist bleacher seat type of places. And so, yeah, it's mentioned a bunch, and she goes, jogging along the lake, and they mention local businesses here and there. She had a Lou Malnati's pizza box with pizza inside that did not look like Lou Malnati's. For all you Chicago snobs out there. So it was there, it was present, but it wasn't really it didn't factor into the plot in any way. But it was still cool. It still made it interesting to watch from our perspective, just to get that local connection. But yeah, this movie was really trying to do 3 different things and maybe we just go through them a little bit. So,
yeah.
One, it's trying to be an action movie. 2, it's trying to be something of a mystery because she does play a private investigator trying to solve the murder of this guy who she had recently met at the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And 3, it's supposed to be a comedy, which you did not know.
Yeah, I was like, well, because you asked me, are you laughing yet? And I was like, am I supposed to? When did the joke
start? and I knew that because, again, working from Hollywood Video, it was in the comedy section.
Oh. I mean, it doesn't say that this is a comedy.
If you go on like IMDb, it'll say like action comedy as well. And they're definitely trying for it. It's just the jokes are
like the daughter, maybe.
Well, no, everybody. I mean, they're all like smart asses to each other,
right? And
but,
maybe
like,
that's
don't
like
land.
them kind of giving each other a hard time. Are the jokes?
Yeah, mostly. But yeah, it's a lot of
like messing around with each other and like pranking, and
it's a lot of the quick wit type stuff you would see in detective movies from the 1940s, but not modernized at all. Like, I don't know, anytime someone asks her what does the V stand for and she's answering something other than what her name is,
it's always
that's supposed to be a joke,
right? And it's always men. They're like, what does the V stand, like they think it's vagina or something.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you got PI and VI.
Well, because then they call her the female
men
dick.
Have the P and then she has the V.
And they're like, oh, so you're a female dick.
Right. And then she
and
rolls
that's
her
supposed
eyes.
to be a joke, yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Like in the beginning when Stephen Root has his like 2 minutes in the movie, for some reason he's there, and I don't understand the point of that scene at all. I thought it would come back to be.
It was just to be like, oh, what's
point.
your name? And then, oh, VI.
Yeah, I guess it was supposed to be like a misogyny joke at the beginning or something. But yeah, she says her name is VI, and he asks what does the V stand for, and she says my first name. And he's like, ha, I get it. And like, that's the joke. That's the entire exchange. But that's supposed to be a comedy bit. That's supposed to be a joke.
I had to look up her name because she doesn't really say it. Other people call...
She says Vic.
Well, yeah, other people call her Vic, but she says Victorious.
Yeah,
she always comes up...
says Vic,
the first time she's like...
Victoria, I think, does come up at some point.
Yeah, but I looked it up.
I tried to write down all the different answers she gave.
Well, because she was like victorious or victory or whatever.
Yep. Vrivate I don't know. She could have said that.
But do you know what the I stands for?
I saw it on IMDb's trivia, but I don't remember it anymore. They did not say that in the movie.
Yeah, I know. It's Iphigenia.
Okay.
Victoria Iphigenia.
And maybe that comes up in the books a lot more, because this is based off of a series of books, and the plan was to make this into a series of movies. And honestly, I think that's partly why this one does not work. So, one of the writers in this... a couple of the writers on this movie really didn't go on to do a whole lot. The third one, Nick Thiel, has a lot of experience and continues to have a lot of experience in TV movies in the action and crime type of area. Right? So he's worked on like Magnum P.I., Fall Guy, more recently stuff like Elementary and Shades of Blue. So I got the impression that they were trying to sort of like take that same sort of like Magnum P.I. style of thing and try to cram a bunch of characterization into one movie as if it were a TV series. Right? They're trying, because they focused a whole lot on character development and very, very little on the actual mystery part in this. Very little on the action part too. It's just kind of sprinkled in, but they're really trying to make you understand who these characters were. But it was unfortunately at the expense of everything else, because they were trying to, cram all this character development that would normally play out through the course of an entire season on TV into this 90-minute movie. That's my theory. Yeah, so the comedy I don't think really works all that well. Probably the best moments are between a VI and the daughter, Kat.
Yeah.
Because she's like, this foul-mouthed person. She's basically VI as like a younger person, which helps them identify. So I like their dynamic, but just the things that they were saying, I mean, maybe they would have been a little bit more outrageous because, Kat's like dropping F-bombs and be like, hey, are you fucking my dad? Type of stuff. And getting all crazy. And so maybe back then it would have had a little bit more impact. I don't know.
I think maybe, at
South
that
Park
time.
days.
Hearing like a 12 or 13-year-old girl say, hey, are you fucking my... Like the first sentence.
This is the first sentence, yeah, she has.
She walks into VI's apartment with her dad and she's like, are you fucking my dad?
And she's like in the bath.
Yeah. Yeah.
The whole scene's a little weird.
VI is taking a bath. This girl walks in, starts snooping around, and VI's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And then she's like, are you fucking my dad?
And then the dad comes in, and her ex-boyfriend, Murray, is also there. And they're all just hanging out in the bathroom while she's trying to take a bath. It's like...
Yeah.
No one going to address this? And like, I don't know. It just seems so weird. I mean, obviously, VI eventually does. Vic eventually does.
Yeah, she was like, can everyone leave?
Not until the whole scene had played out.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, she has the best dynamics. And also, I think what Kat had with... that dock worker Eddie, there's like that one scene when, or not Eddie, Ernie, when they go to see that one dude. We haven't really talked about the whole plot and the mystery side of things too much, but basically Kat owns a part of her dad's business, and so she goes to meet this worker, and like they're ribbing each other.
Yeah.
And then, like he's...
But I even like how...
Like that interplay between those two is probably my favorite part.
I also like how they even tease VI's ex-boyfriend, I suppose, who's also... he's a police detective, like in the Chicago police...
No, he's a reporter.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought he was a detective. But then...
Yeah, he's a reporter.
He's always showing up...
Some major newspaper, they don't say which one.
Okay, he's always showing up.
Because he's following the story.
VI meets a guy at a bar.
Who happens to be a former Chicago Blackhawks player in the movie, not in real life.
Not in real life.
A guy named Bernard Boom Boom Greyfalk.
Yes.
Which they refer to as Boom Boom.
Immediately hit it off, and they're, making out by her car, and then she's like, I gotta go home. That's where she goes and takes the bath. Mm-hmm. And then an hour later, he walks in with his daughter, and he's like, hey, can you take care of my daughter? Because I've got business to do. Right. They've known each other, what, like 4 hours tops?
Yeah, basically.
This is...
Maybe it was a second date, but I don't think so.
I think it was that same night. Like, she came home, took a bath, and then an hour later, he's like, hey, I got stuff to do all of a sudden?
Seems like it, yeah.
So it's gotta be, what, like midnight at this point?
Murray's already in the apartment because they used to live together, and he was there to watch the Cubs game.
Yeah, he's staring out.
You can see the field from her.
Yeah, he's staring
apartment.
out her window, looking through binoculars, watching the game from her like living room or whatever.
And she's like, "I almost brought a guy home tonight." Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he visits her and drops off the daughter.
Right,
yeah.
like he went home after this date.
Yep.
And he was like, "Oh, shit, I got something to do." Like, but couldn't
and if
the
I'm not
13
back by midnight, then
yeah, okay, so he probably came by.
He probably half expected to die, is my assumption.
Okay,
and that's like, but they
why
don't
he
really
brought the daughter over.
Yes.
Okay, but why her?
They don't really fully explain that because I don't know, because she's a private investigator and he thought that she could be trusted.
Like if he died, she would find out who'd kill him.
Maybe. But they don't ever give that impression in the context of the movie. I'm building that world myself because the movie
in my
didn't build
mind,
that for
I'm
me.
like, okay, these people just met, they made out. She's like, I gotta go home and take a bath.
Yeah.
He goes home. An hour later, he knows where she lives.
Well, she gave him a card.
Okay.
Which evidently had her home address, which is kind of dumb for a private investigator to have her home address on the card.
And she has her own office, like her own private eye office downtown.
I guess so.
Why not give that information?
I don't know.
Or just a phone number. Like, I am private investigator VI Warshawski. Phone number. Yeah. Don't give me your personal address.
Plot convenience.
I know.
Yeah.
Drops off the daughter.
Yeah.
But, I mean, she's 13.
She's
like,
13.
Can't she take care of herself?
Technically, yes, and she tries to. But because the family is dangerous.
Right.
And that's
he thinks
basically
that,
why.
Okay, he probably suspects that he's...
Yeah, he knows this business between his... Okay, so
his
it's Boom
brothers.
Boom and his two brothers
Yeah.
are trying to do some sort of a sale of the Grey Folk business, and one of them is blocking it. One of them wants it to go through, and Boom Boom has the deciding vote.
Yeah.
And if he dies, then the daughter gets the deciding vote, because somehow that's how life works. It's not. But they pretend that that's how it goes.
Right. I mean, the next of kin would be her.
Maybe it's in the contracts, actually. Who knows? But generally, so whoever has control of the daughter has control of the vote, and so there's thought that whatever. Who knows? It's not really explained fully well, and the whole business dealing intrigue side of things is not. It's basically fluff. It's almost not important. But he goes down to the shipping business that they're trying to possibly sell, talks to one of his brothers, and then shortly after gets killed when a tugboat nearby explodes, propelling him into the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's dead.
And the
So
police...
Boom Boom went boom.
Yes.
And they did not even make that simple joke.
I thought they did.
Did they make that? Yeah, maybe Murray did.
I think Murray did.
That could be. Well, maybe they made that simple joke. I should be a writer for the next movie.
I mean, looking at some of these movies 30 years ago, I feel like we could have written a movie and it would have been...
Just wait till we get the direct-to-video stuff. Then you'll really start to think, like...
I know, but just the past couple of movies, I'm like, how? And then how is this, like, box office top 100?
Because it has the money and the star power behind it.
Like, because Kathleen Turner is, she's been in other movies, like Romancing the Stone and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, I want to see that. Yeah,
I mean... On paper, she's like the perfect person to be in the lead of this. Yeah. Okay, she's Jewel of the Nile, right? Yeah.
Romancing the Stone.
Romancing the Stone, which she won a Golden Globe for, right? Heat. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? I know she wasn't physically present in that, but but she has that mix of the sex appeal and the action
woman
and comedy chops to do all the stuff that this movie is wanting to do. So on paper, it sounds good. It just Kathleen Turner didn't do anything with this role.
It was.
The supporting characters were a lot better.
Yeah.
I liked Kat was great.
I liked the daughter.
Yeah,
and I liked her ex-boyfriend.
Yes, Murray. So, Kat played by Angela Goethals. I might be pronouncing that wrong. She had bit parts in Home Alone and Jerry Maguire. And she'll be in one more 1991 movie, Triple Bogey on a Par 5 Hole. So, look out for that one. And then you got J.O. Sanders played Murray.
Is Murray, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be in 3 more 1991 movies, so we can maybe get into him a little bit more when we get to those. But he was great in it. He mostly these days he basically is like a character actor dad type.
Yeah.
But both of them were really good. I think Murray did a great job of even though the jokes weren't there, he at least played things off like they were a joke. He had the smirks. He knew that Vic wasn't serious when she said some of the things, and I think that dynamic between them really lent to the palatability of the movie.
Yeah, my favorite part is when Vi and Kat go to his place, I suppose. Mm-hmm. And he opens the door and there's a woman who is that, honey? And then they start messing with him. And there's a woman who's in her negligee on his bed. And Kat goes, "Are you fucking my dad?" That. I think that was probably the funniest, best part of the whole movie.
Yeah, it could be.
Just messing with him.
It could be.
Because he wasn't even, like, mad about it. He's like, all right, whatever, you got me. And then the woman just leaves.
Yeah.
And he wasn't mad.
You guys deserve each other. Yeah, I think that was also one of the scenes that obviously meant it was a comedy, right? Like, you know.
Right.
Instead of simple things like so many different characters mispronouncing her last name, which is supposed to be a running gag. You know?
And it's not even that hard to say or spell.
True, but I think that's why it's supposed to be a joke. But it's not.
We
don't have the history of Warshawski. Like, it's not like a well-known thing. So, like, the fact that people are saying...
In Chicago, there are a lot of Polish people here. Like, a lot of Polish immigrants that came over here. There's a lot of Polish last names.
Yep.
Warshawski is pretty easy.
Yes. Compared to others.
And then you have all these other, you know, policemen from the city of Chicago saying, huh, what? That's kind of like, I don't know.
Well, even like, okay, the main mob guy, played by Wayne Knight, Smyson, he mispronounces her name all the time. And he says that they were in homeroom together.
Yeah, right. I think he's doing it because he's messing with her, you know, because she's a female detective and, you know, no one has any...
Yeah, it's like a way to take her down a peg, you think?
Yeah, they don't have any... They just think that she's a joke and they don't have any respect for her because she's like a woman and she probably can't, you know, figure things out. I don't know. And then it's all these, like...
basically kidnap her and assault her a couple different times, right? I mean, they're slapping and punching her in the face and stuff.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, they have enough respect to do that. if that's considered respect. But, you know what I mean? Like, they see her as enough of a threat to do that kind of thing to her.
Yeah. To kick her ass.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know why the mob stuff had to even exist.
Yeah, they always gotta...
Yeah, like anytime there's some crime, they have to bring in some organized crime.
They're always part of a mob thing.
Yeah, so
but
it's
wondering...
Wayne Knight and a few goons who are in one centralized location, and everyone knows where they are, so they're not like hidden behind the scenes. They're like, and they seem very low rent in terms of their operation. Like, he has like VCRs piled up behind him in the background and stuff, and it's not a very good operation. But like, you could easily draw out the family stuff without involving the mob because they didn't really progress anything in the story. There's a part where like Wayne admitted, no, it was this brother Trumbull that did this thing. Mm-hmm. That was the only purpose for like the 2 or 3 scenes that the mob had, was to throw it back at the family. But they're like, we did not blow up that tugboat. We just tried to chase you down on the river in the speedboats. But like, and yeah, we tried to kidnap the girl, but I don't know, they were purposeless.
Oh yeah. I was trying to find out, like, you know, this is based off of a book. Yeah. Written by an author, Sarah Petruski, and...
Paretsky, yeah.
Oh, Paretsky.
Yeah. I don't know how many.
She has a lot, and she's still writing because her last book came out last year. And
of this series or just in general?
Of this V.I. Warshawski series.
Okay.
And this movie is based off of the second book called Deadlock, and it is about a person named Boom Boom that dies in this boat accident, you know, in Chicago. He is an ex-Blackhawks player, but in the book, Boom Boom is her cousin. So there is no love interest, there's no cat.
Okay. And so if all the family stuff still remains in the book, which would be interesting, then that means it's also technically VI's family that she's going against as well.
Yeah, so that sounds more interesting to me. Like, she's going up against her own family.
Yeah, and it also makes sense as to why she would be accepting of Kat so early in the movie, too, right? You know, it's like, oh, can you take, you know, I'm your
my
cousin.
niece.
Can you
but, yeah, if it was I don't know why they had to turn it into this romantic
I think
thing.
it's just to establish her as a sex symbol even more. Right? Like, they
Well,
had
because,
that,
in the beginning,
the
she
jogging
had
scene
these...
where she's being catcalled.
Right.
And then, you know...
She wears
Stephen
these very
Root's looking
nice...
her up and down.
Yeah, these very nice shoes.
Yeah, I think it's really just to establish...
She comes into this bar and everyone's looking at her type of thing.
Is like the woman who does it all and has it all. That's probably the only reason. But yeah, but yeah, I mean, you don't need the mob stuff. At least not the way it's presented here. I would have liked to see a lot more detective work. Like, there was more detective work in the movie Ghost than what we saw here.
Yeah, I mean, her detective work was like kind of just through the daughter in a way.
Which was cool. I like that they were able to team up and, like, you know, use her abilities as like an unassuming teenager who can kind of like shift gears and be the nicey nice in 1 minute and be like a smart ass truck driver type the next, you know? But I mean, they only limited that to like a couple scenes, like where she's trying to deposit $10 in her mom's bank account to get the account number. Like, if I were the bank teller in that situation, I would just say, yeah, put that $10 in a card. You know, like, why are you trying to deposit it secretly into your mom's bank account?
I thought she was depositing $1 because she had that just single... in the movie...
It was a single bill, but it was a $10
I know,
bill, yeah.
But in the movie, when VI makes a deal, she's like, give me $1.
Yeah, and why? So I can, you know, so it's an official contract.
So it's an official... Like, that's her actual contract is if once you give me $1, then I'm on the case for you. Right. So I thought I thought Kat was using that dollar, and I was like, why is she depositing $1? And until she said $10. Yeah. Because I thought she was using that dollar.
But either way, the whole concept of
I thought
the
bank
deposit,
it was weird.
And like, yeah, she doesn't have ID, she doesn't have the account number or anything. She just really wants to get this into her mom's account because it's her birthday and it's a surprise.
Why not do like a $100 bill?
Like, I can't.
Why $10?
Yeah, that would have helped. I would have told her, yeah, I can't do this. It's against policy. Go get a card and put the $10 in the card, just like any other kid would.
Yeah.
So, she's used for that kind of stuff. She's used like.
To cause a scene.
Cause distractions so that VI can do other stuff behind the scenes and make a little progress. But that was about it. Otherwise, she was just there to be a target.
Right. They do this whole boat chasing scene up and down the Chicago River.
Which I mean, it's a nice chase scene.
I wish I saw that being filmed.
Yeah. You were
that would have been a cool
thing. Or something.
Yeah, I mean, I was like 10 years old or whatever.
Yeah, you got... I wrote down the names of the boats. So they took speedboats from the dock, or you know, from the side of the river. It was Eat My Rust versus Naughty, Knotty, or Nice. Eat My Rust versus Naughty or Nice. Place your bets. But honestly, probably the funniest line in the whole movie came at the end of that scene.
Oh, yeah. And I think it was from a random civilian, not even an actor.
Yeah, probably some random actor. So at some point, VI is able to get away from them, and then Kat is left in the boat saying, "You shot her, you killed her," and you know she's playing a decoy in the water, but secretly VI is on some sort of truck with a massive hose. I don't know if it's a Coast Guard.
Yeah, it's kind
Not
of
truck, boat.
A boat. It's kind of like a Coast Guard or fire.
Yeah, it's either a fire brigade or a Coast Guard type of thing with a huge
type of thing.
hose.
And
she hoses the bad guys down, and then this extra on the scene says, "She can handle my hose anytime," and he pumps his fist a little bit.
Everyone just
in congratulations.
He congratulated himself because no one cared.
You know, everyone else is around yeah, and he's like, "Yeah, I did it. I said the words." I don't know. It's just the funniest line because it was so cheesy, and you could tell as some dude on set is like, "Hey, you should say this at the end of it."
No, maybe he thought that was his ad-lib, it was some improv type of...
I'm sure he was
adding it in.
I'm sure he was fed that line by some random crew member
hey,
or director.
I'm gonna come up
with
this line.
Yeah.
Wait until you hear it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, that was probably the best line in the movie, just because it was so out of left field and so poorly delivered. It was like the awkward reaction afterwards.
It's kind of like, I don't know, you imagine like Will Ferrell saying it and doing like the face.
Yeah, like at like Wedding Planner.
Right, like that guy.
Yeah, Wedding Crashers. I mean, yeah. I wish they would have done more with the kid as a sidekick. Yeah. And maybe they would have if they got it into other movies. I don't know. But like, they spend a lot of time on the mob stuff, which has no effect. And then in terms of the kid, they spend a lot of time on the egg, which she's borrowing for a school project. And then Kat, loses the first one or something, and then VI has to replace the egg. Like, that went nowhere. I thought that would maybe have some sort of a payoff.
I think that was just to...
It's just to build relationship.
Yeah.
But they didn't need that. I think just the wise ass cracking between the two would have been enough.
Was their relationship?
Yeah.
But I think that in the after Kat sees that her dad's dead body, which is traumatizing, she runs off into like some other shack on the pier or whatever.
Yeah, I guess it does help her.
So she kind of just said, "Here, I made you another egg."
Well, also she dropped the egg when she saw the body and ran off, and that's how VI was able to get the direction of where she went. So I guess it did help in that way.
So that was like her first way of saying, you can trust me.
I'm on your side.
Yeah.
Very true. All right, maybe it wasn't fully purposeless. I just assumed it would actually
But then I don't know. They didn't bring up the egg until anytime after that. So I don't know. Well, maybe Kat's project was done by then. Taking care of the egg. I don't know.
It's tough to say how long this movie timeline is. It's not a very long.
It seemed like a week.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I think at one point VI tells the police chief, give me like 72 hours or give me 24 more hours or something like that. Police chief played by Charles Durning, by the way. He's been in so much stuff. It's not, I don't know. I don't even know where to start.
He's in Tootsie. I don't know.
Yeah,
if you think of the dad that falls in love with Tootsie.
Okay, yeah.
He's that guy.
He has a Golden Globe win for a TV series, Candies of Massachusetts. He has Emmy nominations for Rescue Me and Evening Shade. He won a Tony for Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. He was the main bad guy in the Muppet movie. He was in Tootsie, Hudsucker Proxy. He's played Santa 5 different times. He was an Oscar-nominated actor twice in a row, once for To Be or Not to Be, and then Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. He's another one who's underutilized, because basically he's just there to be misogyny guy, blocking VI from doing stuff, but also, I mean, he's the legitimate cop who has authority to arrest people, and she's just the detective who is unofficially working the case because she's not affiliated with the police department. They just have some sort of history together. They know each other and they spend social time together, but they don't get into that too much. So he exists. Good actor, obviously, just not given much of a role, which is fine. I mean, the movie was long enough at like 90 minutes, and it crammed enough character development. We didn't need that. That could have been for season 2 or movie 2. And yeah, I mean, they definitely were planning to make more movies. I think probably part of the problem is that they're up against things like Columbo and Perry Mason, which could do a lot of what they were already, what they wanted to do here. Or even like James Bond, that's probably I don't know what would be the better description, honestly. But it was trying to make like a serial movie in the form of like Miami Vice. Sort of like an in-between like James Bond, which is, like the high budget, high level action. And then like Columbo, which is very low key and very much like very detective and little action.
Gadgets or anything. It's just her solving like a crime. It'll probably just be like each week is a different, like a Law and Order. I don't know. It's like a different, but not really Law and Order. But each week is just a crime. She figures it out within that 1 hour, and then on to the next thing to solve.
Yeah, I think this would have worked better as a TV series.
And I think it was a TV series, but in the UK.
Oh, really? I didn't see that part.
It was like a series on the BBC. And VI was played by Sharon Gless in that part.
Well, there you go.
But I don't know how many
well
episodes or
So, yeah, this one just didn't quite do it. They also tried to go for like a big twist at the end, and that just sort of failed, right? So like, you have Kat's mom, Paige, who like shoots her own husband.
That's the other kind of weird thing, is that this mom, the mother of Kat,
went on to marry Boom
Boom's brother, and then the brother wants to like kill his niece / stepdaughter.
Just for this monetary gain.
Right.
Yeah, they go into the big reasonings behind it. It's like, it goes beyond this whole sale of the shipping company. It has to do with like some stuff and like doing development work for the piece of land that Kat owns and blah blah blah. Yeah, I don't know. It's like business and money make people murder. That's
right.
The gist of it.
And Kat hates her mom.
Yes.
And that's why Boom didn't trust the like his daughter to be watched by the mother, and instead asked Kathleen or V.I. Warshawski to watch her or sort of take care of her.
And it turns out that's a good reason, because the mom tries to kill Kat after she shoots her husband dead.
Yeah. And I just feel bad for
like
Kat.
This big chain of command that they all know already. It's like, well, if this person dies, then I get all the assets and the votes and the money. And if this person dies, then I get all the stuff. So they already have like that line of succession in their head. Succession. And, they're willing to kill for it.
Right. So then I just feel bad for Kat out of this entire movie.
Yeah, obviously, it's like she has the capability of taking care of herself under normal circumstances, but when you're surrounded by murderous family members, then that's a little bit too much for anyone to handle. Honestly, I don't know. I think that's...
I mean, so does V.I. just adopt Kat? So do they just live together and solve crimes together?
Yeah, I don't know.
I wanted to know how... They didn't really
do that in the sequel. Maybe
what happened at the end.
Yeah, maybe they're going to address that in the sequel. I don't know. I mean, at one point she does... I don't know.
V.I. takes her to this... Like, she has a friend who's like a nurse.
Yeah, like a doctor nurse. Yep.
Yeah, and she has Kat stay there at this hospital, like a children's hospital, because she's kind of taking care of the younger kids while she's there.
Yeah. But I think there was a reason beyond just safety, wasn't there?
But I don't know if it was
if she got
an orphanage type of deal, or...
It might have just been a children's hospital type of a deal.
Or like a daycare.
No, I don't think it was a daycare. I think it was some sort of medical
she's like
facility.
in a room playing hockey with a bunch of kids.
Yeah, but that would exist in a children's hospital.
Okay.
For inpatients.
Anyway. So yeah, she was sort of living in that hospital for a couple days.
Yeah. So if there's any one positive I'd probably draw from this, is that there weren't a whole lot of like plot holes in this. It's just that the plot that was there wasn't all that interesting. I would have liked more detective work, a little more action too, because they established that V.I. does like
the main
martial arts.
Action was because
and she barely gets to use it.
Yeah, she said that she has practiced martial arts and she does some moves.
Yeah, she kicks a little bit of ass here and there.
And then they do that boat chase, and that was it. The boat chase was the main...
Well, there's also the house arson, but that wasn't really action. It was just like, leave the place. But it had the potential to be more than it was. So, Yeah, they spent, like I said, they spent way too much time developing the characters and trying to establish relationships for future movies that never happened.
Yeah, they probably were hoping to do a sequel, and it
didn't quite make it. I mean, it made, I don't know what the initial budget was, but it still made $11 million.
The budget was $24 million, so they did.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was pretty much a flop, even though it was on the top 100.
Yep, number 90. What can you do besides make a better movie? I don't know, maybe having like 3 guys on your writing staff and having a guy direct it maybe didn't help
Probably
things
have
a whole lot.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't consult with the actual author of these novels.
Maybe they did, but she
like
was not
woman.
credited as a writer.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, like, in one of the guys on here, Edward Taylor, his only other credit besides this movie is a Polish TV show from 1997. So maybe they brought him in for some of the Polish stuff, like the pronunciation of Warshawski.
I mean, it's not. It's pretty phonetic. It's not that hard.
I know. Yeah. David Aaron Cohen did The Devil's Own, and he also did the movie version of Friday Night Lights, not the TV show. And we already talked about Nick Thiel. He'll also appear in the 1991 movie White Fang as the writer of that. Besides all that TV stuff, he's also done The Associate from Whoopi Goldberg. Remember that Whoopi Goldberg movie, The Associate? And then Jeff Kanew, if I'm pronouncing that right, Kanew. He was the editor for Ordinary People, and then he went on to direct things like the movie Gotcha.
All right.
Troop Beverly Hills.
Okay, I like
and
that.
Probably his biggest success by far is Revenge of the Nerds.
Ah, okay.
The first one.
All right.
So.
Yeah, that movie does not hold up.
Revenge of the Nerds? Yeah, I have not seen it since I was a kid. But the DVD has a failed pilot for Revenge of the Nerds TV show, which I have watched and is fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
So, if you happen to come across the DVD, at least watch that. Other cast that we haven't really mentioned too much before, we already talked about Wayne Knight, obviously from Jurassic Park, Seinfeld, Space Jam. We'll see him in 1991 movies JFK. If you forgot that he was in that, he is in that. And then also a movie called Dead Again. So
I mean, he's mostly known for being Newman in Seinfeld.
Yeah, and getting killed in Jurassic Park.
Yes.
The brothers, I mean, we barely talked about the brothers at all.
They're just, I did not care for either of the brothers.
No, and they're barely in it, too. Like, one is just like this
one of them's
dopey
like
oaf-looking dude, or like
who
acting
obviously
guy.
has like sprayed on red hair dye or something.
Yeah,
his hair
like,
looked unnaturally red.
It looked like, what was that Liquid Television Dog Boy?
Oh, Dog Boy?
Yeah, he looked like a character from Dog Boy.
That was like plastic hair.
Yeah,
okay,
but that's what it kind
right.
of looked like. I don't know. That was the guy, Trumbull was played by Charles McCaughan. Caughan. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right either. He's going to be in the 1991 movie Legal Tender. He was in Quicksilver, Waxwork, and a sex comedy Hot Resort with Bronson Pinchot.
All right.
So, and then I think we talked about Paige briefly, played by Nancy Paul. She was the mom. This was her last movie role. She did do a TV series called Space Precinct in 1995, which I think was on the Sci-Fi Network in the early days of that. So, yep, that's about all I got, really.
No awards?
We do have one award nomination. The Young Artist Award for Best Young Actress, starring in a motion picture, Angela Goethals.
Well, that's good.
But she lost to Thora Birch in Paradise.
Oh, okay.
So, but at least she got nominated because she was really good in this movie. So, for the most part, the acting was good for half of the people. Unfortunately, Kathleen Turner wasn't that.
Yeah, the main character. I don't know. The main characters. I don't.
From what I was reading, though, like it seemed like this was around the time. So Kathleen Turner's career kind of got sidelined or derailed a little bit because she came down with or was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and that really limited her ability to
move around.
Yeah. And so I think this was around that time when that started to really hit her, and so maybe that could have been part of that. Yeah, so on to true crime and pop culture, I think.
Okay, I don't have a lot, but I have one big story that blew my brains out.
Okay.
Well, it didn't blow my brains out because I knew about this. I just didn't know this happened in 1991. I thought this happened in like 94 or 93, 95, whatever. And this is going to be true crime and pop culture.
Okay.
So on the day that this movie was released, July 26, 1991, Paul Reubens, a.k.a. Wee Herman,
Okay.
was arrested in Sarasota, Florida for masturbating in an adult theater. I didn't know this was 1991.
No.
So when I saw this, I was like, what?
Yeah.
So I had to do, I looked up 2 or 3 articles about this. And we'll put this on the website.
Yeah.
The 2 main articles I was reading were the New York Daily News and then the New York Times. And then I also one of my favorite podcasts I listen to every week called Hollywood Crime Scene. They do an episode about Paul Reubens. They do his entire career, and they include this.
Sure.
He was in Sarasota, Florida, and then he's from there, so he was visiting family.
Okay.
So he decided to go see some movies.
Sure. As one does, as
right.
we saw regarding Henry. Yep.
Yes. So the star of Pee-wee's Playhouse, whose real name is Paul Reubens, was arrested Friday night, July 26, 1991, after undercover detectives raided the South Trail Cinema in Sarasota, Florida. Reubens was observed exposing himself, and a detective arrested him in the lobby. The theater was showing the movies Nurse Nancy. This is why I was asking you about this.
If it was on our list.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's it's an adult movie.
We don't have adult movies on the list.
Nurse Nancy, Turn Up the Heat, and Tiger Shark.
Okay.
Those were the 3 movies. Reubens, who was 38 at the time, was charged with exposure of a sexual organ. Quote. That's
of one of many sexual organs. Right.
He was released from county jail that night after posting a $219 bond, which that's a random amount. 3 other men were arrested on similar charges, and if Paul Reubens was convicted of this misdemeanor, he would face up to 60 days in jail and a $500 fine. Reubens' lawyer, Dan Danheiser, this made me laugh too, said his client would not comment after being arrested, but he said the charges would wreck Reubens' career. He also added that the detectives didn't know that, he was who he was.
Sure.
They were just arresting.
They weren't targeting celebrities.
Yeah, they weren't targeting anyone. They
just a random
were
thing.
going in and they're like, hey, let's bust this stupid place down. Obviously people are going to be whipping out their penises watching adult movies.
I've never gone to
assuming.
public
Me neither, and I'm scared. Yeah. Anyways, he added that the detectives did not realize that they arrested a celebrity until Reubens told them. He was like, hey, I'm Wee Herman. Mm-hmm. So I think when they arrested him, he sort of, Pee-wee or Paul Reubens sort of bribed them, saying, hey, I'll do like a children's function for your county or whatever to get out of this type of thing.
Yeah.
That didn't work, obviously.
Backfired, probably.
Yeah. And this arrest was widely covered, and Reubens and his character both became the subject of ridicule. Mm-hmm. Disney MGM Studios suspended a video that showed Pee-wee explaining how voiceover tracks worked in the studio tour.
I wish I could have gone to that studio tour.
Me
before
too.
That would be cool.
Well, they took it out in 91. Yeah. I didn't even... The first time I went to MGM, I was maybe like 2-3 years after, so wouldn't have seen that. Mm-hmm. Toys R Us removed Pee-wee's toys from its stores, and it was commonly thought that Pee-wee's Playhouse was canceled due to this, but in reality, the show was already done by that point. Like, Paul Reubens decided to retire from that show. Not retire, like, from acting. Because I think at this point, he was doing Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Because I'll show you his mugshot, because he has that long hair, like how he looked in the movie Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So, the Pee-wee's Playhouse, people thought it was canceled, but in reality, he was retiring from that show. But that show was removed from all syndication.
It was still... I was watching it every week at that time.
Yeah, I was watching it.
I remember the show that replaced it as well. I don't remember the name of it, but it had like the 3 cowboys.
Okay.
I don't know if you've watched that at all, but it was in a similar vein as Pee-wee's Playhouse, but obviously not as wacky, but it was a decent show. It just couldn't hold a candle to Pee-wee's Playhouse and all the great stuff that it did. But it had like little animated segments in between too, and it was like, singing cowboys, and there's like some sketches and characters and stuff. Like, it was a decent show, just couldn't compare.
Right. So on November 7th, 1991, an agreement approved by Judge Judy Goldman, not that Judge Judy that's on TV, at Sarasota County, Mr. Reubens' lawyer and prosecutors announced that they would forego a trial in return for a plea bargain. So he plead no contest. That's what plea of no contest is, kind of like they agreed on a plea bargain. Yeah. The plea kept the charge off of Reubens' record and obligated him to pay a small fee and spend 75 hours performing community service. And during that time, I remember these PSAs that he did, and that was a part of his community service where he had to do 2 anti-drug public service announcements. Okay. And they were self-produced and financed by him. One of the PSAs was him, Pee-wee, explaining the dangers of crack cocaine. I remember that.
I don't fully, but yeah.
And then a lesser-known one was a feature from Penny, the claymation, in Pee-wee's Playhouse, stating, don't do drugs.
That one I might remember more.
Okay.
I don't know. If we can find a copy of those, we'll try to put them up.
Oh yeah, I'll try and find
if we remember
PSA.
to find those.
And that is the crime and pop culture for the week. I looked up the top song for that week, and it is obviously Bryan Adams. Everything I do it for you.
Okay. Oh, we didn't talk about the theme song. That was probably one of the best things about this movie, is that it was another good...
Oh, yeah, it had a good
opening.
These movies had good theme songs.
Yeah, it sounded nice and detective-y. It wasn't as good as the FX2 song, but it was still good.
Right. And, I mean, TV-wise, it was pretty much the same.
We've covered a lot of it. We'll figure out other things to cover as we go along here, I guess.
Right.
So, but yeah, in terms of rankings and ratings, where does this fit in your 1 to 5 star scale?
I give this a 2.
A 2, okay. I'm oscillating. I'm probably gonna say it's a 1 for me. I honestly could have gone half. It could have been in like Kiss Before Dying territory, but it was...
I would watch this over Kiss Before Dying.
Yeah, that's sort of like my thought process. Yeah. Is like, some of the acting was pretty good. It held my attention even though it didn't like captivate me. And it was short enough to be, whatever, take your medicine and move on. Right. So, yeah, I'm going to say it's a 1. It had a lot of potential, it just didn't fulfill it. So every movie is worth watching once. Would you watch this again? For a 3rd time?
I'm this not on my own, and not, I don't know, maybe if someone chose it for like a viewing, I would be like, sure.
Just watch that boat
I would watch,
guy say
yeah,
she can handle my
I would
house
watch the
anytime over and over
boat
again.
scene and then the daughter saying, "Are you fucking my dad?"
Just back to back.
Right.
Um,
I'll just watch clips of
yeah,
it on YouTube. I
super
don't
cut
know.
of those things.
You're right.
Yeah, I don't think I would watch this again, but if they were to try to revive this,
Like the series.
Yeah,
with someone else.
yeah, I think that would be interesting, and I'd give that a shot.
Right.
But if you want to watch V.I. Warshawski, as of this recording in May 2021, it's available only on digital rental, VHS, or DVD. As always, check your local listings. You can listen to us on all of your major podcasting platforms. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, and tell your friends. You can email us at 1991movierewind@gmail.com. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Letterboxd. Just search 1991 Movie Rewind or go to 1991movierewind.com for the full list of movies. No adult movies on that list, along with show notes and more. Next week, we're going to cover our first foreign film. We're going to France for All the Mornings of the World. That's going to be on Vudu, digital rental, VHS, and DVD. We'll see you then.
Thanks.